For almost a full year, an anonymous mailer systematically dispatched thick, paper-stuffed shipments to illicit operators and cyber extortionists across North America. The parcels arrived at addresses linked to stolen identities, ransomware lockouts, and illegal substances. Inside each cardboard container, bound stacks of legal tender. Matched serial numbers transmitted via encrypted messaging. The operator charged a flat 20% commission to transform digital tokens into paper currency. This service operated under the moniker Elon Musk One on the dark web. But the startling truth hidden from those using the service was simple. The FBI ran it. The investigation began in a quiet, rural setting far from the digital underground. On September 17, 2021, a suspicious shipment arrived at a tiny post office in Kentucky, situated directly across from a local Baptist church. This facility, serving a small agricultural community, rarely handled complex international mail. Postal workers flagged the item during a routine screening process because the sender information appeared fabricated. Inside the cardboard exterior lay several children's books. While the contents appeared innocent at first glance, the weight of the items felt entirely wrong. They were far too heavy, stiff, and dense. Upon closer inspection, inspectors discovered that someone had carefully hollowed out the paper pages, transforming the children's literature into secret compartments filled with thousands of dollars in paper currency. The shipment lacked a return address, and the recipient's name led to a dead end. Local authorities, realizing the sophistication of the concealment, contacted federal investigators. This single discovery initiated a complex, multi-year inquiry spanning several continents. Federal investigators traced these shipments backward through the shipping network. Agents intercepted identical bundles landing in California, Texas, and Florida. Every designated recipient shared a distinct operational signature. Each relied on digital currency, required physical bills to fund local operations, and utilized the same dark web intermediary to facilitate the conversion. Online, this mysterious broker operated under dual identities, Elon Musk One and La2 NYC. Two digital storefronts, one hidden mastermind. The operational model of this underground bank appeared surprisingly straightforward. For illicit actors, converting digital wealth into physical currency presents a major logistical hurdle. While cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are often perceived as anonymous, they actually operate on a public, transparent ledger. Every transaction is recorded forever, allowing blockchain analysis firms to trace the flow of stolen funds or drug proceeds. For a drug trafficker or ransomware operator, trying to deposit these digital tokens into a traditional bank account is extremely risky due to strict identity verification laws. They required a mechanism to liquidate holdings without leaving a digital footprint. That represented the exact solution the service provided. An offender would transfer digital assets to the broker, specify a delivery address, and wait for a shipment of paper currency to arrive at their doorstep. These paper bills could then be used to purchase physical assets, pay local associates, or fund daily operations without leaving any digital breadcrumbs for forensic accountants to follow. A steep fee of 1/5 of the total value secured this service. Sending $10,000 in Bitcoin yielded exactly $8,000 in greenbacks. This remaining 20% margin covered the operational expenses, the risk of transit, and the localized courier network. Between April 2021 and September 2023, this single pipeline facilitated the movement of over $24 million. Prosecutors later documented this volume through exhaustive ledger entries presented in federal court. The mastermind behind this large-scale operation was a 30-year-old software engineer living in India named Anurag Pramod Murarka. Operating from the safety of his home, thousands of miles away from American law enforcement, Murarka managed a well-coordinated network of domestic couriers. These couriers, recruited through encrypted channels, acted as localized drop-off agents. Many of them were ordinary citizens recruited under the guise of work-from-home administrative roles. Completely unaware of the broader syndicate, they received large shipments of currency, verified the funds, and packaged them for final delivery to the buyers. Before any exchange occurred, the couriers photographed the exact serial numbers of the bills next to handwritten transaction codes. These photos were sent to the buyers via telegram as a form of mutual verification. In an environment defined by paranoia, this strict protocol built complete trust. Despite his digital shielding, the federal government was closing in. Investigators faced a major obstacle. Maraca utilized sophisticated virtual private networks, onion routing, and multiple layers of encryption to obscure his physical location and identity. He never used the same network address twice and kept his personal life entirely separate from his online personas. Because he operated from India, arresting him would require a complex international extradition process. Federal agents needed a creative strategy to unmask him, leading to one of the most controversial digital surveillance techniques ever deployed by the government. In January 2023, undercover agents posing as clients contacted the administrator of Elon Musk through his Darknet storefront. During their communications, the agents sent him links to public YouTube videos. These videos were standard, mundane tutorials detailing how to utilize aerial drones for geographic mapping and land surveying. There was nothing illegal or restricted about the videos. They were readily accessible to anyone online. The undercover agents sent these specific links on January 1st, then closely monitored the server logs to see if the administrator would access them. When a connection was recorded on January the 8th, federal prosecutors immediately approached a federal judge with an unusual request. They demanded that Google, the parent company of YouTube, hand over the personal information of every single user who had viewed those specific videos during that one-week time frame. They specifically requested IP addresses, account names, and physical location coordinates. This Geofence-style warrant swept up an enormous amount of personal data. Over 30,000 individuals had watched those drone tutorials during that short window. The list of viewers included students, commercial surveyors, drone hobbyists, and random internet users who had never committed a crime in their lives. Yet, the government ordered Google to reveal their names, physical addresses, telephone numbers, and IP addresses, all in the hope of identifying the single connection associated with the dark web money launderer. This dragnet approach sparked fierce concern among civil liberties advocates. When the details eventually became public, raising serious questions about the boundaries of digital privacy and government overreach. Whether the YouTube Dragnet directly identified Maraca remains a closely guarded secret, but his own physical health would ultimately seal his fate. By late 2023, Maraca developed a serious medical condition that required specialized treatment. Deciding that the medical facilities in the United States offered his best chance at recovery, he initiated plans to travel. He applied for a standard visitor visa under his real name, submitting his actual Indian passport, financial records, and residential address. He assumed his digital shadow was completely detached from his physical identity, believing that his years of careful encryption kept him invisible to American authorities. The visa application was quietly approved by the State Department, coordinated behind the scenes by federal investigators. Maraca boarded a flight to the United States, carrying only his medical documentation and a return ticket. He believed he was traveling for a routine medical consultation. The moment his flight landed on American soil, federal agents were waiting at the gate. They arrested him before he could even exit the airport terminal. The visa approval had been an elaborate trap, designed to lure him into a jurisdiction where American law enforcement possessed the legal authority to apprehend him. Normally, the arrest of a major darknet operator signals the end of the illicit enterprise. The storefronts go dark, the communication channels close, and the flow of illicit funds stops. But in this case, the arrest was merely the beginning of a much larger, secretive operation. Upon taking Maraca into custody, federal agents seized his laptops, cell phones, private encryption keys, and digital credentials. They possessed full access to his Elon Musk and La2 NYC accounts, along with his entire network of couriers and buyers. Instead of dismantling the network, the FBI made the unorthodox decision to keep the business open. Operating from secure government facilities, agents responded to daily requests from unsuspecting buyers. The cyber division handled transactions, directed couriers, and processed shipments of physical currency. Every interaction looked identical to Maraca's original operations. The Standard Commission remained active, and the communication protocols never wavered. This precise mimicry kept the entire underground ecosystem oblivious to the change in management. Agents even adopted Maraca's specific writing style, utilizing his common spelling errors and slang to avoid raising any suspicion. For nearly a year, federal agents acted as the premier money launderers for some of the world's most active cyber extortionists. When ransomware groups locked down hospital networks or stole corporate databases, they turned to Elon Musk to clean their extortion payments. When drug dealers sold narcotics on illicit marketplaces, they used the same service to convert their cryptocurrency into physical dollar bills. The FBI facilitated these transactions, sending parcels of banknotes to domestic addresses while carefully logging every piece of evidence. Every transaction provided investigators with important data, mapping out a vast network of illicit actors who had previously been entirely invisible. To maintain the illusion of legitimacy, agents had to ensure that shipments arrived on schedule, and that communications remained professional, essentially running a high-volume underground financial institution from within a federal office. The intelligence gathered during this undercover phase was substantial. By operating the node, the FBI was able to intercept and prevent over $1.4 million in fraudulent bank account takeovers. They identified dozens of high-level darknet vendors, ransomware affiliates, and identity thieves. During a single raid on one of Maraca's domestic couriers, agents seized over $600,000 in hard currency. The operation allowed the government to trace cryptocurrency wallets directly to real-world identities, creating a detailed map of the digital underground that will fuel federal prosecutions for years to come. This entire operation was conducted in complete secrecy. The public, the media, and even many federal judges were entirely unaware that the government was running a large-scale, active money laundering service. The court files remained under seal, protected by non-disclosure orders designed to safeguard the ongoing intelligence gathering. In January 2025, the case against Maraca finally reached its conclusion. A federal judge in Kentucky sentenced him to 121 months in federal prison for conspiracy to commit money laundering. The 10-year sentence received minimal media coverage, appearing to be just another standard conviction of a darknet operator. Even the public docket hid the true nature of his cooperations and the takeover of his profiles. The true scale of the operation did not emerge until 3 months later. On April 8, 2025, investigative journalists at 404 Media obtained and published newly unsealed court documents. The reporting revealed the reality. For a full year, the FBI had been actively running an illicit financial service, taking a 20% cut from perpetrators and using those funds to keep the operation running while gathering intelligence. The revelations sent shockwaves through both the cybersecurity community and legal circles, sparking a fierce debate over the ethics of federal law enforcement tactics. The primary controversy surrounds the active participation of the government in the very crimes they are sworn to investigate. Critics argue that by running the service, the FBI did not just observe money laundering, they actively facilitated it. They provided a needed service that allowed illicit actors to profit from their illegal activities, potentially encouraging further crimes that might have stalled without a reliable cash-out mechanism. Privacy advocates also pointed back to the YouTube Dragnet, arguing that exposing the private information of 30,000 innocent citizens to catch one suspect represents a dangerous precedent for mass surveillance. Federal prosecutors and law enforcement officials strongly defend the operation. They argue that in an era where offshore syndicates operate from safe havens, like Russia, China, or India, traditional police work is no longer sufficient. To dismantle these organized, decentralized networks, investigators must use sophisticated, proactive techniques. The funds handled during the operation were not treated as profit, but as key evidence used to map out entire syndicates. From the government's perspective, the temporary operation of the storefront was a successful, legally sanctioned strategy that prevented far more harm than it caused. The legal challenges resulting from this operation are still unfolding. Defense attorneys representing individuals caught in the FBI's dragnet are mounting aggressive challenges in court. They argue that the government's conduct was so egregious that it violated the constitutional rights of the defendants, asserting claims of entrapment and outrageous government conduct. They contend that the FBI provided the needed infrastructure required to complete the offenses, making the government an active partner in the criminal behavior. While these legal arguments have not yet resulted in any major dismissals, They are forcing courts to grapple with difficult questions regarding the limits of undercover operations in the digital age. The permanent legacy of the Elon Musk investigation is a deep sense of paranoia that now infects the digital underground. For years, Darknet users believed that advanced encryption, decentralized currencies, and anonymous communication tools made them untouchable. They operated with a sense of total security, confident that law enforcement could not penetrate their networks. The revelation that their trusted financial broker was actually a federal agency has shattered that confidence. It has demonstrated that even the most secure, top-rated services on the dark web can be compromised, seized, and operated as active government traps. Many pressing questions remain unanswered. The public still does not know if Google ultimately complied with the sweeping YouTube viewer warrant, or if the company attempted to fight the order in closed-door legal proceedings. The total number of individuals currently facing prosecution as a result of the FBI's year-long operation remains hidden, as many cases continue to proceed under seal. Perhaps most unsettling is the question that now haunts every active user of the digital underground. How many other prominent darknet marketplaces, escrow services, or communication platforms are currently being operated by federal agents? If the storefronts look professional and the deliveries arrive on time, there is no longer any way to verify if the operator is a real provider or a government employee. The dark web was built on the promise of total anonymity, a digital sanctuary where traditional borders and law enforcement authority do not apply. But for a full year, the FBI demonstrated that they could not only enter that space, but master it. By adopting the persona of the very individuals they were hunting, they turned the anonymity of the digital world against itself. Whether this represents a brilliant evolution in modern police work or a troubling expansion of government authority remains a subject of fierce debate. The court files are now open, the details are public, and Anurag Pramod Murarka is sitting in a federal prison cell. But somewhere in the digital shadows, another encrypted server is running, another broker is answering messages, and a new generation of users is left to wonder who is truly operating the keyboard.